So, Terry, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
How many days you have,
600, I think 610, something like that.
Nice. How about you, Chris?
601.
Yeah, I got to be close to that.
So coming up on 2 years here in a little bit?
Yes.
My clean date is November 19th, 2021.
Wow.
November 11th, 2021.
Right in the middle of COVID. You think that exacerbated your addictions? Sure, it didn't help.
For me, I was already pretty well in the throes of my addiction with alcohol then, so it didn't really hurt or change anything. Yeah. It was already there. It had already been coming to a head, definitely.
Yeah. It definitely was an influence on me, but I think I would have been. I think it just sped it up. It didn't, because I was already drinking too, pretty heavily. So, when did you? What were things like for you when you were growing up? What kind of family background do you have? Mom, dad?
Mom, dad separated when I was young. Grew up actually with my father. Dad raised me with the help of his parents, and had a family business here in Bakersfield in the construction industry. So that was an integral part of our livelihood in our family here. Similar to you.
Yeah.
Same type of thing.
Yeah.
And then got into college and stuff as I went through, and ended up changing, got out of construction, went into the medical profession. And, as far as family goes, everybody looks background of family on my father's side. There's some addiction problems too, but not as bad on my mom's side. There's definitely some addiction problems with alcohol, what I had trouble with. So it's, and I think all going through groups and going to AA and doing all the different things you run into, everybody's got similar issues.
Yeah.
In the family. I don't think anybody's got a clean bill of health family with no issues anywhere.
No, and I think that's just, being alive in general.
Yes.
I think personally, I just took it different, I guess. I don't know, a little more emotional.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've met a lot of people with all types of different backgrounds that have come, the people that we meet in group and programs and that. So, how long this last time that you got your 600 days, have you had a period of time where you had some sobriety?
So previous to this successful recovery so far, has the longest I did was 4 months, and that was definitely, these are all terms that from going through program that we would call a dry drug,
right?
And it was very difficult. I went 4 months, didn't drink, but it was miserable.
Yeah,
and just unhappy, angry at the world. Just wasn't what I wanted to do. Wasn't doing it for me. Doing it more for the family, the wife, and very difficult process doing that. And of course, I made some excuse, as we always do, and then started drinking again. And tried to okay, I'm going to moderate, do a better job, and that just that did not last very long. It never does with any of us, and it just got worse and worse and worse again. And then I from that big stint of 4 months, I'd quit for 30 days and I quit for 20 days. And it just was more of a fleet gesture more than it was an actual attempt to gain sobriety and stuff.
It's funny. I remember, sorry to cut you off, but I remember 2 or 3, you can move it. You're not going to break it. There you go.
There's one. You'll be able to see Terry a little better.
Yeah. I would do it. I would stop for the weekend or something and think, oh yeah, I stopped for 3 days. I'm good.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
I got it in the bag.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just insane.
Well, and it's just, and I don't know about you with your drinking stuff, but I was a binge drinker too. So with my job, I could not be one of those people that go to work and having beverages, adult beverages during work and stuff. That wasn't going to work. But I would get to the point where, I'd have a bad bender, go pretty crazy. And then I'd be pretty sick the following week, and I'd be okay. And then I'd be okay for a couple of weekends. I'd drink, but I wouldn't drink that bad. But then, then I'd reset. And so about every 3 weeks, I would have one of these bad benders, and it just became more and more consistent, more and more of a problem. And it's sad when we go to groups and we all share, and that I was like everybody else. I was living my life around my addiction, where I could go to get alcohol, where I could, I'm not going to go to this restaurant because I really don't serve the booze I like, and it's really crazy.
Yeah, the way that we go down to even like restaurants, I wouldn't go to a restaurant unless it had alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, it had to at least have a
Yeah.
beer or something.
Yeah.
If it didn't have anything at all, it's like I really don't want to go there. It was the best way I analogy is being a prisoner
Oh yeah.
in your own body, in your own mind, and just trying to be able to break yourself free from it, but just can't. And even when you do get some clean days in and not doing, all you do is obsess about it.
Yeah.
And again, no tools. Very clearly, we're all a product of a group we went to.
Yeah.
And learn tools. And I still believe, out of everything I've learned, the group friendship and group and connectivity is actually the strongest key to success with this. I think you guys would agree.
Yeah, the fellowship for me is it's why about
Critical.
Yeah, I mean it's essential.
Yeah.
Yeah, the human connection is definitely, above the paper. I do step work, and I read a lot of literature, but talking and going to meetings and everything is definitely, the most important part of my recovery.
Yeah.
It's just, and what, it keeps me from isolating. That's because that's what I would do. I would isolate. I didn't want anything to do with anybody.
Accountability.
Yeah. You create so many different layers. If I message you and I don't hear back from you in that day, I'm going to find a ride to your house.
Yeah. Yeah. It's everything that you're trying to like you said, layers. It's you're trying to put a thicker and thicker wall in between you and going back.
Right.
No matter how thick it is, though, it's really easy.
Yeah,
you see people fall out all the time.
All the time.
They
can.
What's our success rate?
Overall? And that's an interesting question. I've been doing a lot of research on that because there's different opinions upon that as well too. But 2 years is kind of like one potential benchmark, and then I think everybody looks at 5 years as the potentials. If you made it 5 years, you've actually are kind of in that category of a successful recovery. Overall, stat wise, 5-7% is the success rate. AA, whatever, NA, recovery groups, it's all very similar, which is a bad number.
Yeah.
A really bad number that is very clear at the root cause of the problem, that if you don't get a grasp of this and you don't continue to stay on top of it, there's no way you're going to continue to beat it back on a daily basis. I firmly believe that. Like, people ask me all the time, we talked about it a few minutes ago. Do you think about drinking? Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I'm not going to lie, honest. Now, does that mean I want to drink? No. It just, does the thought cross your mind? Absolutely. And I know personally that I just can't do it. There's just no way that I will be right back to where I was when I walked into rehab,
Right.
and if not in a hospital, and
Yeah.
in a matter of probably 7 days, it won't go well. And that scares me.
Yeah. There was a guy that that we know, and he just went out, but didn't have any thought on it. You know, I think that was the main point of his. You know, he was saying, you know, I don't have any thought. I didn't have any thought when I was drinking it, or when I was put. You know, like I wasn't craving it. I wasn't. Nothing triggered me. You know, I just picked it up and
He just did it.
just did it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was talking to somebody else, and it was brought up, and you know, that's why we have to be constantly on guard. And I think that's to the point of what you were saying with the 5 to 7%. I think that's why our community is such a tight knit group, and the fellowship such a big thing for us, because we know how many times has somebody come in and said that I said it. Oh, I isolated. You guys are not like me. You know, I did it all on my own, because I did. You know, I drank by myself. Didn't want anybody around. Didn't have to go to bars. I didn't have to go anywhere. I just drank.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, you know. So that's another sign that, like you said, if we start to isolate, hey, something's going on. Call Chris. Call Terry. Whatever you got to do. You know. And I think that's why the community is so big.
Very bad to be in our own heads and not have anybody helping us to talk to to do a better job at getting grips of what we're experiencing, so we don't go backwards.
Right.
There's a saying in the fellowship I'm with. It's an addict alone is in bad company.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying. Getting inside your own head, you can make or break it.
Yeah, and mental health. I mean, just in general, if you know, because we have so many things coming at us, even if, and I'm not talking about because of cell phones or anything like that. I'm just talking about daily life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything that we have to do. You know, that goes on. You know, throughout our days. And so if we don't keep up on our end of the mental health part, staying connected, being mindful of triggers, and being mindful of our emotional state, so that way we can, you know, recognize it and say, hey, I got to do something, you know, get to a meeting, go to, you know, call somebody, whatever we got to do.
You know, what's crazy is that people say they drink and use because of their current state of mental health. But then when they drink and use, I couldn't imagine you the way you told me your behavior was before. This is the guy, like, you create a whole nother mental health, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You create a whole state of negative mental health.
Yeah, and I
drinking or
think
using.
that's what Terry, you know, before we started, that's what I think you were alluding to with me when you saw me, you know, angry for no reason. You know, I know it wasn't no reason. I know it was no reason now, you know, but when I was in it, there was nothing that anybody could have said to me, could have done to get me to stop. You know, I thought having kids and all that would have helped, but it didn't.
No.
And it's interesting because I wasn't really angry. Like I said, when you came in, I'm like, this guy's mad at the world, man. And that, I can't say that wasn't me. And I think when back in groups, if you listen to me talk, I just wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And in the you know, approaching 2 years of sobriety, I've been really working on that, on trying to figure out what is that? What is happiness, and what does it define to me, and how do I define happiness, and why at that time am I experiencing that sensation of being unhappy, and what can I do to try to rectify that? And it's very difficult because I've been working on it for months, and it's hard to really pinpoint when it comes over to me. Other than since I've been working on it, I remind myself, it's like, well, dude, your business is good. You fixed everything. Your marriage is good. Your business is good. Okay. You're not unhappy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just chemical responses in our brains or what, as far as that end goes, but I just like, you're not unhappy.
Well, partially of it too, I think might be that because you, like you said, you were unhappy. How do you know what happy feels like?
Right. And
how are you going to know what that feels like and then to recognize it? I know that I'm happy, but you know, there's certain things that, because I was mad and stuff like that, that now I know how to deal with it. And so because I never thought people were, people were happy. I never, because even in the state that, as well as like even my parents did, my dad wasn't always happy. I didn't know anybody that was, and anybody that was always happy.
What the heck's wrong with that?
Yeah, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah,
it wasn't genuine to me.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't like you were being angry. You can't be happy.
Yeah,
you can't feel happy and stuff. It's really kind of a deep. I spent a lot of time on this, and I'm like, is it? Am I complacent? Am I just not achieving? Am I? And it's very interesting. But the one thing, since I've been working on it and aware of and I guess you'd definitely have to call it a trigger, definitely by far, that I'm aware that sensation would potentially lead me back to the path of alcohol, which is definitely a path I don't want to go to. So how do I not feel that way? How do I not work? And I think you guys knew a couple months ago, I was on an antidepressant. And I finally got off that.
Yeah.
I had those sensations with the antidepressant. I've had them since not taking the antidepressant. So it has nothing to do with that chemical mediator. And if anybody watches this and stuff, the coming off antidepressants is very, very unfun. That was
that a struggle?
It was something I definitely wanted to do. I had, because drinking was affecting my health. I was having, high blood pressure, everything. I'm off probably half my medications now that I got the alcohol out of my life. My body's recovered. My liver's everything's returning to normal. So I've been able to get a lot of medications out. That was one of the last ones, was the antidepressant. And I didn't go on it to try to stop drinking. Although when I was drinking, I would hope it maybe help, but it didn't. I went on it because of, losing my father and losing a property to some fire and stuff. And this, it was just kind of, runs in the family. I kind of talked myself into the fact that I needed it. In reality, I look back and I really don't think I did. I don't think I ever really needed it. I just was looking for something to help me ease the discomfort of what I was supposedly feeling. And again, like I said, there was maybe a deep-seated idea in my head that maybe that's the cause behind my drinking.
Yeah.
That I'm depressed and that I'm drinking the cover up, which is funny because alcohol is a depressant, so that's none of that makes sense, and it didn't curve the drinking whatsoever. So
no, like you said, it's a depressant. So, I mean, I don't know of anything that's gonna help you, but at least you're mindful of it. But Chris, I wanted before I forget, I was just thinking about you. I apologize about the video last time. So everybody, this is Chris.
It's fine.
You probably heard his voice, his deep voice, Barry White over here.
Oh, you didn't get the camera on him?
No, I didn't record the video.
Just
the audio.
The camera didn't want anything.
He broke the camera. He was too handsome.
Yeah, but he's got the husky voice.
Now. Yeah, I know.
Like
It's probably the reason why.
Right.
Couldn't handle it.
It's all right.
What? How was your relationship affected with your wife and kids?
Bad. The drinking, by the point, it's really interesting. For me, my alcoholism came to a head with my wife. I think you know this, and you know this. My wife almost died. So my wife got the COVID vaccine because during the COVID, and she got extremely ill from the vaccination and went into total kidney liver failure in the hospital. So, I held it together. She was in hospital 8 days. I hold it together. Although, I would drink after I left the hospital. I was trying not to drink. It was, and just with the stress, everything going on. So of course, my wife had already, before all this happened, was pretty much making plans to leave. So my wife I tell people all the time, she had both feet out the door and the luggage packed. She was ready to go. Of course, when I get my wife out of the hospital, I get her home. I reward her by my 8-day bender. I don't go to work. I just go into total shutdown mode and don't want to talk to her or anybody else. She had to drive herself to dialysis. I mean, really not the person I am. And just really let her down. And this is that once I stopped drinking after that episode is what prompted me to enter rehab. I already figured she was gone. I figured I lost my wife. We go to group and stuff. There's probably 50-50, 50 that are lost, 50 that are hanging in there. And I did not enter the program that I did to save my marriage. I entered the program to save my life because I realized that when I walked into that program, I should have probably been in the hospital.
Yeah.
I was that ill. And typical me, I was able to tough it out and stuff. No intervention, no help, no meds, just got through it. And with the support of the group, with the people, that's where I first learned that, okay, we got each other's back here.
Yeah.
And so I started the program and stuff, and it just started working through that. But my wife was done. And just because I entered a program and started it, and I hear this when we go to group, I've been in for 60 days. My wife still, I'm like, how long were you a drunk asshole?
Yeah.
How many years?
Yeah.
For me, I can pretty much say at least 10.
Yeah.
Probably even more. But
yeah, I've heard that too. And they're angry and they're resentful at their wife because of their, because they're
6 months doesn't erase your bad behavior for years.
My wife was ready to go. I'm sure.
And the cool part about it is I knew that, and I was okay. My wife works for me. My wife was my ops manager. My wife had stopped working for me about a month and a half before all this went down. She'd had enough, and the writing was on the wall for me to go get before, but no, I had to try to throw it into rock bottom mode. And I think we all done it.
See how far you can sink.
And thankfully, there's definitely a few more steps and I definitely didn't need to push it, but, I scared myself enough to realize it's like, wow, I got a lot to live for.
Yeah.
I'm only in my 50s. And I help people for a living with my job is what I do. I got a lot to do. I got a lot of things to go. And so also I started with the program and working on myself, learning the tools and going and being present, doing it, meeting guys like you and talking about my feelings, expressing my feelings. And that's the coolest part. You'll never find this anywhere. I talked about it the other day when we were in group. You don't find men sharing their feelings in a group. Not even in a church format. Will you see what you're seeing here? Why? Why aren't we putting together more groups like this? And not just for men, for women, maybe even for group, if people go, oh, that's what AA, I go, it's not, AA's cool and stuff, but it's not quite the same thing. Because I've been to AA, I've been to NA meetings. It's not the same thing as the group the rehab place where we go as alumni. It's not quite the same thing.
Yeah. It's definitely not. I can feel the difference.
Yes, there's a difference to it.
Yeah, the genuine reaction that you get from people in our group setting, I think that's the biggest. It's so helpful.
And it might be because it's a more protected environment.
Right.
You know, we're actually in a facility. This is what they do for a living, and is helping people and stuff, versus just meeting with people that you maybe have, gone to meetings for years with or whatever, but you have a semi relationship with. But a lot of us went through the program together, spent sit 8 hours a day with each other for 2 or 3 weeks and stuff, and developed a bond. That's really, I think, what was critical to trying to gain success with this, and that's why the three of us are sitting here. And, you've had probably 10 others of our group, and it's all because of that. That's kind of the glue there.
Yeah, I can't say enough about it. So the group reaction is just, I think a lot of it too is because we may not have gone through the same things, but those feelings that you have, like when you have resentments, or those feelings that you had when you were drinking, and somebody brings it up, those feelings.
Yes.
You may not have gone through them, but what that felt like. You know what it feels like to get up and to want to drink. You know what it feels like to be jonesing and want to know when, where, how, so my wife doesn't know, type of thing, where I think the part of the reason why the communities work so well is because if my wife was in that group, she wouldn't understand. She'd think we were crazy.
Mhm.
If being a normal, a
normie.
Yeah, a normie.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna, even I wish that I think that's why I never understood why people said they were grateful for their alcoholism. And I think that's why that is because we get to experience something that a lot of people don't.
Yeah. Grateful addict.
Yeah.
Grateful recovering addict. Also, it's just like guys like us need to be there that have been there and keep coming back, because it's just like the alumni meetings and the Thursday night men's groups, which is my favorite.
Right. Mine
and
too.
I think it's important for the people that are in their first 30, 60, 90 days to see, okay, well, this is working for these guys. And I don't mind talking. I like talking to those. I like talking because I'm still there for me.
Yeah.
And but I don't mind it. I just want them to know that, it'll pay dividends. You just got to stick it out, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
For a lot of people. Yeah.
So if you guys know, if you followed if you're an AA, or if you read, not only read the book, but if you actually read a lot of the literature behind Dr. Bob and Bill, the power of their continued recovery was in actuality helping others. The group, the service. The group, but the helping, bringing people in and helping others. And you guys, I do. I feel, I got the guy over there for 3 days and, crying in his lap. I'm trying to hold it together because I was that guy 612 days ago, whatever.
Yeah.
And I understand what he's feeling, and I'm an emotional man. I'm okay with that. I'm in touch with my emotions. It doesn't bother me. And I'm trying to not cry with the guy.
Yeah.
And I legitimately am there for me, as you said. That's why, the selfish side. But on the flip side, why I keep wanting to go back is to help those guys. So just the fact that we're sitting over 600 plus days, 500 plus. Are you in 500? Fours. I remember being in the group with the guy with 30 going, that guy's getting it done. So, it can be done. It absolutely can be done. And because it seems like a daunting past that we are not going to be able to achieve this. This is because if it was easy, we would have done it already.
Yeah. When you're in it and when you first get there and you see guys that have 30 days, you're like, what? You're like, how did you get 30 days? How'd you get 60 days?
Yeah.
I think the other reason why we go back, at least for me, is to see them, see how those guys come back in and see that not to feel guilty or not to not for entertainment, but to see remember that feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
Of that, the despair, of it's just it sucks, man. I could still feel it, and those last few days of me wanting to quit, I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I didn't want anything to do with it.
And it's funny. It's not funny. We're sitting in a group, and some guys had 15 days, and he lost. So he just went out. He's in the beginning of the recovery. He lost the 15 days, and you can see the disappointment in him. And I personally feel like somebody hit me in the gut too, because I know what it feels. I know what he felt. Because the crazy part is that when I entered that program, I tried to quit 300 times or more, and we all did. Yeah. We all of us did. And the commonality is in all of our addiction is what brings us together as a whole. But made it 2 weeks, made it 1 day, made it but I mean, it's the failure side of things, unfortunately, is why there's a 5% success rate right there. And if we can't learn what we're learning here right now and doing the things we're learning, and you got to realize that the majority of people that are doing AA, NA, or even did rehab, I mean, we have people come into our group that have done a 3-month program. You think, okay, well, they were way ahead of it, and they come in and start talking, and it's like, did you learn anything in that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. Yeah. I mean, where did you go? Because to me, you don't seem like you got it. You're 3 months. But they sound like a dry drunk person, and they've been in a rehab clinic for
detox for 3 months.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's what it was. They don't seem like they learned anything valuable, anyways, to build upon. And so it's good they're there. Hopefully we can. The problem is they did a group like this, and my answer would be, well, you need to do our PHP here, because I think you need to. You need to be here for 8 hours for at least 2 weeks. And I tell everybody who comes into our rehab program that you should do 2 weeks of PHP and then move to IOP. And the 2 weeks is a nice little kick in the balls, if you want to call it. That, hey, I'm sitting here all day for 5 days, 8 hours. I'm not doing this because this is what I want to do.
Right.
I'm doing this because I have a problem, that I'm an alcoholic or an addict, and that I need to change me.
What was I think, in regards to what you were talking about with, people that have gone through rehab or people that have 60 days, 90 days, and they're still, not resentful, but they are resentful, but it's not just that. There's more to it. But I think there's some people, it's just not their time. And then secondly, what I was going to ask you is, what was that light bulb moment for you? Because for me, the light bulb moment happened about a month and a half into it. And that's just when I got it. And it was just like, okay, I felt like a peace. But was there a light bulb moment for you?
There really wasn't like one, time of going through, so we were in a 90-day program. Right. I can't say there was during the program, there was a light bulb moment for me. That the light bulb moment was actually occurred to me before I even walked in the door. And I don't know if maybe I'm not understanding what you mean by light bulb, by like that you get that you have a problem. Or
you get that you have a problem.
Because we see all kinds of guys that are in group that are there, but they don't really know why they're there.
Yeah, so that's what I'm referring to. So like at some point, I didn't have a specific, like I can't say it was like, God opened the heavens and went, you know what I mean? Right. It wasn't like that. It happened over a course of a couple of weeks. I knew I had a problem when I went in there, but what turned it around? What was there a moment that turned it around? Like for me, it turned it around to where I wanted to be there. I was receptive, because when I first got there, I wasn't very receptive, and maybe it's just me. I wasn't. Yeah, I can do that, but I'm not going to do that. That type of attitude, that attitude that you were just talking about, those other people having. Did you have any of that?
Not in a defining moment. One of the things that, for me that I struggled with, because even the program we did still talks about the 12 steps and uses 12 steps. I am not an AAer at all. I am an atheist. And people go, oh, AA is not religious. And Chris and I have this conversation all the time. And I go, well, that's actually a very inaccurate statement. There's God mentioned in the NA book 103 times in the first 60 pages, I think. And same thing with the AA book. So for me, what I was having to struggling with is talk about steps. And I read steps and I go, okay, there's some key points in the steps that I think are very valid that are going to be needed for my recovery. Not all of them though. And so what I started doing, and this is maybe my aha moment for that you're talking about, is I reduced the 12 steps down to 4, removed all the religious implications out of it, and moved from there. And from there, because I don't have a higher power. And so for me, I am the power, is what I always believe. The power for me to recover, the power that I have accomplished everything in my life has always been inside of me. I lost the ability to find it. I lost grasp of my own inner power. Okay. So what I did, that was my aha moment, I guess, basically, was finding my own. So the people, oh, you found your spirituality. I go, no, it's not spirituality because I don't believe. Okay. So this is basically what I found is how to challenge the power within inside of me that I always had in the first place. To go to college for 8 years, to run a business, to do everything that I did. And I believe all of us have that in us. Now, if you use NA or AA to achieve that with everything, and you believe, oh, that's great. That's good for you. This wasn't for me. Yeah. And you guys are friends of me, and you guys are both very religious, and that's fine. I love that. Most of my friends are. It's just not who I am. Yeah. And so for me, that was my aha moment, was trying to figure out. I'm like, okay, and we've done anger management classes. We've done all this. Okay, I'm getting all this, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not answering to higher power, and I'm the one who put the bottle in my mouth. God did not tip the bottle or put the blutie in your nose. You did. Period. Yeah, and so for me, it was taking ownership of that. It is me. This is the one that I am the only one who did this. I'm the only one who got me there. And I talked about with you earlier that finding that moment where you started to lose control, and what was the reason why, and addressing that reason, and I did. Yeah. And that was also part of the soul searching part. Once I got those two aspects, I guess you put those together, those were my aha moments for my recovery, because then my recovery just blossomed after that. Right. Doesn't mean I didn't want to have a drink at the end of the day. The temptations and the biochemical stuff that goes in us to want to drink does not go away. That's the hard part. It diminishes with time, but it always waits behind there and stuff. So
it's always lurking.
We have great discussions. And I respect what he believes, and he respects what I believe. He doesn't,
No,
we always have these great, and I'll shoot stuff to him. I'll go, what do you think? What do you think about this? And he'll give me his honest opinion on it. And I'm like, that's great. And I appreciate it, because I think there's a lot of people that need to hear that.
Yeah. I think too, we probably agree. We probably agree more than what we disagree. We have probably more agreements than what we disagree about.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd say that 100%.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. I don't think God ever put anything in my hands and told me to drink. I don't believe that at all.
The devil didn't make me do it either.
The devil didn't make me do it either. It was my choices.
Yep.
It was 100% me doing it.
But if you're strong in your faith, there's nothing wrong, and that's what people watch make that very clear. Nothing wrong with turning to your faith to gain power, to help you gain control over your addiction and stuff. It just can't be the only thing. You cannot deny yourself ownership of it as well.
Yeah, you have to have.
Because I do see people in group that, I let her go to my higher power. And I'm like, I see a guy or a gal who that's great. You handed it over to your higher power, but you're not owning it. So if you don't own it, how in the hell do you ever plan to control it, to manage it when you don't own it? Because what you've done is like, oh, it's his. So if you do that, if you're around a bunch of people and everybody's partying and you're trying to abstain, how are you going to find the power if you've never actually owned it and learned how to do it? And that's when you see a lot of people go out. They're doing, 4th of July we just had.
Yeah.
A bunch of people go out because everybody's partying. I'm like, oh, well, what the hell? Well, that's because you didn't own up to your problem. You didn't own it for yourself. And again, your higher power is there for your back. It's got what you need, but you still have to own it yourself.
Yeah,
you guys have. And I told Chris all the time, I go, it's very evident to when I see people talking stuff that I believe what I believe, but I also know that I'm the one that tipped the bottle. I'm the one that lined up the line. That was me. Mm-hmm. That wasn't God. God doesn't give a crap if you do a line of drugs. Why? He doesn't care. That's what people. I'm like, he doesn't care. He also doesn't care if you get sober.
Yeah.
The idea that a deity is watching over everything you do and trying to control you is kind of a fallacy, actually.
Well, yeah, I don't believe that he's trying to control you. I believe that he's after your heart. I believe that God wants us to go to him, not him having to go chase us down. It wasn't.
And not keep the bottle out of your hand.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, because if that was true, when I prayed to God, God would have taken it away.
Right.
And that never happened.
You're down on your knees praying, and then next thing you turn around, you're taking a swig.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, that didn't work. It didn't work because you wanted the swig.
Right.
You wanted the wine. And, and I wanted the swig.
Right.
And even though I didn't ask somebody, I wanted the swig anyways.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So again, there's some, I like to break things down to the bare essentials. I try not to flower things up with too much stuff. Let's rip it down to the bare essentials. And, when did I go wrong? What was the event that led to me going wrong? And have I dealt with that? Have I dealt with the pain that pain or trauma or whatever it was? Have I dealt with that particular event in my mental health? You talk about mental health,
right?
To where I can then move, have ownership of that, and have that hopefully not torment me again, right. And move forward with it and stuff. And again, find for me, because I wasn't going to just follow the 12 steps and go through that and get a sponsor and everything, because that's not what I wanted to do. I created my own system of how I approached it and everything.
So what are the 4 steps you broke it down to?
It's I'm not going to divulge all that yet, because I'm actually writing a book about this subject. Okay. So I have a book coming out that will down the line that will have all this information in, and I haven't finished it yet either. Yeah. So I'm still tweaking it. So I don't want to say something that,
Step 1.
Well,
we admitted we were powerless over our whatever, that our lives have become unmanageable.
And I'm absolutely fine, because we have become powerless. So, I mean, obviously that I agree with step 1. One of the steps I have problems with is the the reconciliation, that we're making amends to people. Personally, I don't find that to be a viable point, and there's a reason behind that. Actions speak louder than words, first of all. So your actions in gaining your recovery is what speaks volumes to the people around you. That if that's other than the lip service, the old saying, how an alcoholic's lying, his lips are moving. So the not drinking, the doing the program, staying with it, and that shows your loved ones more than anything. That the people you wronged, so you wronged somebody 10 years ago, hasn't been your friend in 10 years, you go make Rick. So do you think you're going to be friends again? No, probably not. Do you think that, and you think treading up that injury, that suffering to your soul is going to make you better and stuff? I don't believe it is. I think you're just hurting yourself again. I think what you do is you make ownership of it. Your immediate people around you will see that. Because if you hadn't chased people away already, those are the people who love you. Anybody who already bailed, they've already written you off.
Yeah.
You know?
I like to think of it more as a mechanism to get you to that place to where you can reconcile that part of it in your life so you're not resentful for those things. Because some people just can't get to there. You know, some people can't get to that place where they're no longer resentful towards, because I gotta tell you.
Are you talking about you or are you talking about people you hurt?
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about me.
Okay.
So like if I still have that lingering in me, I think it's a tool to be used to get you past that. Is it necessary for everybody? Probably not, but I think that it has helped me get to that place of, I need to, and the other part of that too is when you do those reconciliations or whatever, amends, they tell you not to say sorry. That's not going to do it.
Mm-mm.
You have to.
Enough.
You have to.
No, absolutely.
You have to be living it. So it's in line with kind of what you're saying. Is that you just live it.
Living amends.
Just live
That's it.
Now going and seeking people out, I think that's where you kind of like say, I'm not seeking nobody out.
Well, and that's what I was getting at. So I mean, your immediate family, you're doing it.
Yeah.
My wife was the one that I hurt more than anybody.
Yeah.
So she is the one that I continue my daily life of making amends to almost on a daily basis because I wasn't there for her in her biggest crisis time of need. I failed her and I let her down, and I've been trying to make that up to her ever since.
Yeah.
And she would say that that she, that's in the past, moving on. But for me personally, it's still something that I need to do. The rest of my immediate family, everybody around me goes, who knew I drank and was around, goes, my father-in-law told my wife that, I like this guy.
Yeah.
He's a different person now. He's not the same person he was with this problem and stuff. So there you go.
Yeah.
Your action changed the opinion of somebody else. That's the point I'm making. So like I said, seeking out all the people in the world that I've wronged and to make amends to.
You'll be out there forever.
But I hear people doing it in a group. People talk about it.
Yeah.
One of our counselors talked about going, and I'm like, you know what? Those people are gone from your life. You don't necessarily need them back. That's kind of the point I'm making.
Yeah.
So when I say I don't say that, I'm not meaning that I don't believe in the men. I don't mean you need to go very far into it.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
You need to answer to
You don't have to go that deep.
So if you have 3 kids and a wife, those are 4 people. You need to apologize for your behavior to not say sorry, but go, look, this is what I'm doing and everything, and I know the things I did and bring them out in the open, because being back in the open, you can then heal both them and you. Those are all valid points. It's like therapy, basically.
Right.
Once you start digging out there, I had a friend that I wronged. I stole money from 20 years ago. You don't need to go apologize to that guy. That guy thinks you're an asshole and's already moved on a long time ago. So. And again, and you're not going to like the answer when you run into a guy. He's going to call you an asshole in your face, and I don't want your stupid $20. So again, I see people torturing themselves with that, and I'm like, I don't think it has to be that bad, because people spend the longest time on that step because that takes a long time, and I go, it shouldn't be. It should be what's right in front of you. Fix what's right in front of you, family wise. Make sure if your family's got your back, you don't need to go much farther than that.
That's kind of in line with what I've done. I really just, biggest thing for me is service. Like you said, is it service of others, and I try to do that. And how I try to do that is just by being nice.
Yeah.
Just literally just that small of thing all the time. And that keeps me that day for that day, that helps me to get through the day it gives me a purpose, just be nice to people. That's it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And my men's list is short.
Is it?
It's my wife and kids. And then my mom, I've told you, my mom was an addict. So I've tried to approach her to make amends. And she's like, I know, I see it, same with, my brother.
Your actions speak or
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah. And same with and with my family though, it's been going on for a while, but my kids were, young, and thank God they were, naive and stuff. So, they know, but I drug it on, for a long time.
Right.
And then as they became older and more aware, and my wife would, my kids would ask my wife what's wrong, and she would let them know. And so they knew there was an issue. So it's been a process, and just in my household, my wife, if I think of something, I'll say, there was this time, and she'll, we'll talk about it, and
Yeah, and I think that's why it's just. I think it's a tool for people that don't. I mean, it's a tool for people that can't get there, to really, to show people that they have to be living a certain way,
mm-hmm.
In order to show that amends. I think it's a way to get people in that mindset and to get to, because I haven't gone, my amends is not that far either.
Yeah.
It's
So
I
what
care
say
about the
it makes
people
sense.
it's not.
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
And believe it or not, the amends is one of the steps. When I said it's not in there, it is just in a slightly different version.
Yeah.
Meaning, clean your house up.
Yeah.
is in
Keep your side of the street
my
clean.
mind.
I always hear you say
Keep your side of the street clean, but clean. Make sure your house is clean.
Yeah.
Because
just
it's
living
going to be
amends.
really hard for you to in your sobriety to develop your foundation for the rest of your life if there's still problems in that immediate family area. And that's and I think that's what you guys are saying.
Yeah,
You guys took
same
care
thing.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to,
Yeah.
or you weren't going to be married anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be.
I wasn't either. My wife was on the way out too.
Yeah.
What?
One of my wife's regrets, she didn't go ahead and leave,
Yeah.
God, I hope she doesn't watch this.
She's going to.
Oh, I know she will. She loves podcasts.
Does she?
Yeah, oh God, yeah, she loves this stuff.
When did you find out though or realize that you did have a problem? Was it in that last 8 days that you went on that bender,
no.
or was it before that?
Oh no, it was, and so I talked about, I think it goes all the way back to 2018 is when I did the 4 months, and and it was a problem then, and I probably should have done so when I did that during that 4 months, I'm like, I don't know what to do, and I hadn't gotten that ill yet. So in 4 more years, I mastered my craft of being an alcoholic even more, to where the illnesses from drinking was getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I was violently ill, well, you didn't drink so much, but
I did. I threw up.
I threw up almost every morning.
Yeah.
And with my job, I couldn't drink. So, one of the ways you stop that is throw a couple shots down real quick and go get your day going.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do that. So I had to, I had usually after a bender weekend, I had 2 days of just fucking, I hated work. I hated my life
Yeah.
that I created. But what I wanted when I got off work was
Another
drink.
Yep.
And that's how crazy and bad this addiction is. I got off subject there. What was the...
When did you... when did you realize it yourself?
Probably about 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. I was always the guy it was funny too, because I was the guy in college, drove everybody home. We'd go out partying. I'd have a couple of beers and I'd drive everybody home. I was always very under control and stuff. My drinking started with my separation from my second wife. That's the event. So the event had a daughter. Things didn't go well with all that, and I learned to drink my pain, to cover my pain with alcohol, and it was just a slow progression from there onward up there. But I mean, it happened. I went from before that separation, I drank, and I might have may have one martini a night, but I wasn't drinking 4 of them.
Right.
And within probably 2 years, I was drinking every night, wine bottle, but for a long time I drank vodka, love vodka. And, but when you're drinking the hard stuff and you start putting that much hard stuff, I'm like, oh man, I'm really at a problem. So I'll go to wine. So man, it's amazing when you drink gallons of wine to substitute for the big liter of the vodka, you accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
So, changing your poison doesn't fix the problem. I tried everything. Oh, don't drink the 5. But it was been about 10 years ago, and it was becoming, because it was getting in the way.
Yeah.
It was getting in the way with my relationship with my current wife. It was getting in the way of work at times because I was having trouble making it to work some days. It was becoming a problem, and I'm, again, not a dumb guy. None of us are.
Yeah.
None of us are dumb. This is, we're dumb for being our problem, but we are smart enough to realize that we had a problem, and unfortunately, it didn't. I never got a DUI.
Yeah, me either.
Never did. Never got in trouble with the law.
Never.
I was very, very mindful, but I was like you too. One of the ways I figured, and this is crazy. If anybody watches, one of my things was can't get a DUI on your couch.
Nope.
So I drink and get drunk. I mean, that poor couch, man. It had the seepage of wine in it. So I had to get rid of it when I got sober. We had to get a new couch. Oh yeah, I had to get a new couch because I slept there more than I did the bed.
Wow.
And it was crazy. The problem and stuff. And again, you have a problem when you're dreading the sun coming up of another.
Yeah.
You guys ever felt that you're fine during the night? You're doing your partying. It's 2, 3.
I bet you have
2 or 3 o'clock at night. You're having your drink. You got the TV on. You maybe sleep a little more, and you wake up and it's 5 and the sun's coming up. Oh fuck! It's another day.
I that resonates with me so much to my soul because I just
you done it right.
Yeah,
you felt
I
it.
remember thinking of that. At 3 o'clock in the morning, get up and go 2 more hours. Just that like
yeah. And if it's going to be a work day, you're like, oh man,
yeah,
and you're like, yeah, okay, obviously can't drink no more. Shouldn't have drank that one at midnight. It's just bad. It's a bad place to be. That's why when we have the new guys in group, you see them over there, they're shaking, they're hurting, and that was you, that was me, that was, and I'm going, and I'm over there, I got tears kind of coming out of my eye because I'm like, and that's why I also go back too, because you need to see that.
Yeah.
If you step away from it too far and you don't see it, you never want to forget it.
Yeah.
So if you're in I can go over there, put my hand on the shoulder, go, man, I was there, man, 600 days ago, I was there, I was exactly you. So you can get 600. If I got 600, you can get 600. And then the emotion and the pain.
If you forget it, you're gonna feel it. It's
you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
Just like the history, they always say, if you forget it, you're gonna repeat it.
Yeah.
And
we had the 2 guys sitting next to me, and in front of that one, that guy was ground zero, day 0.
Yes.
And then day 3 or something.
Yes.
They were both in bad shape.
Yeah.
Bad shape.
And not from alcohol either. And I was like, oh man.
Yeah. So in your arena, so this goes into your arena.
Give me the willies, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
One was coming off of opiates, and I think they both were.
Yeah, both.
And I was like, oh man, that was horrible.
Yeah. What was your first 30 days like emotionally for you when you first quit?
Bad roller coaster.
Well, you were detoxing there.
It took me 2 weeks to where in the first 30 days, it took 2 weeks to where I was beginning to feel normal again. But you got to remember how I went out. Wife just out of the hospital, driving herself to the house. I went out in my trailer and I got, cases of wine and just, I literally I went, I'm going to go on. I went and bought a crap load of alcohol. I had a plan. And in reality, I think my plan was, I was not planning on coming out of the trailer.
Right.
That's the sad part is and deep down inside, I was like, this thing's got a hold of you so good. Let's just go ahead and just keep drinking. And maybe one day I won't wake up.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't wake up, and my wife had enough of me where she wasn't, I guess if she hadn't seen me in a couple of days, she was probably going to check on me, but she wasn't going to check on me anymore. I was on my own. I told her I wanted to be on. I told her I said all kinds of ugly things, all kinds of horrible things. And none of the stuff that I meant. It was all just, but that badness, journaling, I can't especially in the beginning, journaling. I don't journal too much these days, but journaling was big. And I like to go back and read those. I don't know. Did you guys, anyone of you journal at all?
No.
So I have it down writing my first pretty much my whole program, my whole 90-day program. Now I started to get some gap days there, but I have a good probably 45 days of where I journaled every day, and that's refreshing or scary.
Scary, yeah.
To go back and read that, and I mean the amount of grief and guilt I was in was, it had me quite depressed. Because I had, that's not me. That's not the guy I am. That's not the guy you guys are either. And to let myself fall to that point, I mean, the disappointment in myself was almost unbearable. And I now, so as we talked about that, we talked about guys going out. You could see why you could go out so easily, right? Because you're like, okay, I did this, and oh man, I'm a really a piece of shit, and wow, this is intense. And you're going, wow, I can numb that crap up right now. Trip to fast trip,
just real quick.
And that, so if that doesn't tell you anything about your character during the first 30 days, that you're able to, with the tools of going to a group and learning and being accountable, because also the accountability to you guys. So as we get there, to come back in and say, I'm on day one again,
that's hard to do.
It's very hard to do.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to lose my respect to you guys. I didn't want to lose any of the days. I still don't.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time in groups and stuff, I go, I'm not going to go out I'm not going to, have a sip of wine. I'm not going to lose my 620 days for a sip of wine. I know damn well it's going to be a big old bottle and it's going to end badly. Oh,
I know. And I don't mean to glorify it, but the people that only go and they only have one beer, when I go,
no, it ain't gonna be a beer. It ain't gonna be, and we're not gonna go.
No,
but I mean, it ain't gonna be for a drink. It ain't gonna be for a sip. It's not gonna go for one wine.
No, I'm gonna go. It's gonna. It'll most certainly.
And if people watch this, the commonality is we're all, of course you make fun of us. Yeah. We're all old farts. You're the youngest. And it's good that people understand if they watch these kind of shows. Alcoholism. So Sam and I are alcoholics. Alcoholism comes to a head in your 40s.
Yeah.
For most grown male adults, is when it really, really starts to show, and it did for me.
I think the combination of you being older too, and your body and changing and all that,
you don't tolerate it.
Yeah.
Your ability to tolerate it and stuff. And, one of our counselors, it was right. It's actually an allergy.
Yeah.
We're actually having an allergy to it and stuff. And then I know with Chris, we were talking on the way over here that you did Teen Challenge stuff. So, I mean, you'd had, gotten into drugs when you were young.
Yeah.
And got clean.
It wasn't a matter of an allergy. It was just putting toxic chemicals into my body that don't.
And I believe, see if I get this right. You had 6 years at one point is the longest you went?
Let me think.
On your own? Without a program?
No, it was 4 years.
I put him on the spot.
No, I think it was
Yeah, really think about it.
I just couldn't remember what you told me. I knew, and
It was about
that's impressive.
4 or
because
5 years.
the 4 months, I was about ready to. I was an unhappy son of a. Hell, my wife wanted to leave during that because I was so. She almost was welcoming me drinking because I was such an asshole around to be around because I was not happy.
I was happy. I just had thought I'd closed that chapter in my life, and that was it. I'd forgotten about it. I didn't have a desire to use, but then when I popped a pill for a legitimate reason, and I got the buzz,
You told me that.
I was like, "Oh, this is great!" And it's prescribed by a doctor. Why? This is great. And then that's just the beginning of the end. And so I would use that for whatever. I was like, I can use this all the time. And it just became a nightmare.
So it's important to people who watch these kind of things to understand that you have where you stopped is where you sit the rest of your life. It doesn't matter how many sober days, how long you have. That is where you are. That if you pick up a bottle again, and I know there's going to be people who go there's always exceptions to the rule, but most likely when you pick up that drug, you pick up that bottle, where that day that you went into or your quit day, you're going to be back within probably a week. You're going to be right back to that, and most likely worse.
Yeah.
Because
it progresses.
The reason I can say that with certainty is I've listened to guys say it in group who we have people who've been out for 5 years and come back.
Yeah.
And
I had no program.
It breaks your heart.
I had nothing, but it was my willpower.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. And you were cold. You were doing it all on your own, but it's amazing that you didn't really have any urges.
No.
Until you're the dope dealer with the white jacket.
And the stethoscope.
Well, you got to remember that the opioid crisis in this country, the drug dealers that made the opioid crisis wore a white coat. That's the reality.
Yeah.
And
have you seen that? Not to go off on that subject, but did you see that they got sued and they end up paying a fee? End up having to pay like a court or whatever you call it.
It's the OxyContin case. Yeah.
Yeah. And they paid like $14 billion, but they made like crazy,
they made somewhere probably $500 billion.
Yeah.
So 14 billion. Okay. Where do I write that check? Yeah. And that's what you got to understand is that, when it comes to that particular industry, that we're just meal tickets for them, if they can get us hooked on it. And, they lied to the doctors with that particular stuff. Cause I've studied all that stuff too. I never had an opioid problem, but being in the medical profession I am, it's very clear, that the doctors were initially lied to. They was told that, the pills last for 12 hours. You take a pill, you're good for 12 hours, when in reality, they lasted about 6.
Yeah.
And they knew it. They knew it from the clinical studies. They knew how habit forming it was. That's why they got hit with it. And everybody goes, oh, look, those bastards pay. Did they?
Yeah.
Not when they made $500 billion profit. So no, that's, and I'm making arbitrary numbers up. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but it is staggering like that.
Yeah. I was heavily addicted. I was at pain management. I had a fentanyl patch on me. I had a prescription for morphine. And I was so heavily addicted. And
so how do you manage your pain now?
I alternate ibuprofen and Tylenol, and it works.
Does it?
Imagine that.
Well, and there's this weird thing, and he'll probably attest to it, that in the use of medications for pain, there's a thing called psychosomatic. So we basically our brain manifests our pain to be something worse to justify taking the medication. Okay. So most people who are on all these things, here's the crazy part about it, and being in the medical industry and treating people, I see it all the time, that you're not that bad. Yeah. You don't even have the injuries. You don't have the diagnosis. You're just a drug addict is all you are, unfortunately.
It's funny that seems like the narcotic almost makes you hypersensitive to pain.
Correct. Yeah. And it does.
Yeah.
But what it is
I think it's the same alcohol. Sorry to interrupt you, but alcohol, we're the same way. I did this happen. I got to have a drink.
Yes.
I mean, really, it's not that bad,
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No. And with you and with the, so he's talking about basically that, you know, his health condition. So, and it was bad. You needed to pay, you took a pill and stuff. And is that what led you back to the meth ultimately?
It did.
Okay. So that was the trail back to that. So how long were you on the prescription stuff until you led back to the non-prescription stuff?
Probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's
a long history of again, your drug dealer wearing a white coat.
It was terrible. Yeah. Well, we talked about this in my, in the interview. I had 3, you know, I'd made a lot of friends working in the hospital, physicians.
Yeah. Yes.
And I had 3 of them.
No, you told me about all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was awful. And at the end, I was killing 120 Percocet in 5 days.
When you see a lot of physicians have problem with it too, because they have buddies
awful.
that are physicians that you know, and it's a lot more rampant than anybody knows actually out there. So
I had a problem, and so I knew I had a problem. It was I'd have these these momentary lapse of reason.
So you ran down that path for 10 years,
probably pretty close to that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was terrible.
And then when you. What was this is a question I'm asking because I don't think I've ever asked you, even though we're good friends. When did it switch? So when did you go from there back to meth? 'Cause you did meth when you were younger.
I did.
So, you know, and we're not talking about the same kind of drugs here.
No, cross addiction.
Right.
So then I could drink, but I wasn't, you know, I could drink, catch a buzz, and then not drink again for 6 months. But
must be nice.
But after that, I was like, no. Then they legalized marijuana here, and so I went to the clinic wherever that was and got it
because of my pain. So my pain, I'm going to do weed to help my pain.
I'm going to do
okay. So, that makes okay.
And then I started abusing weed.
Okay.
And then my brain was like, you know, it was getting expensive.
Right.
And my brain was like, well, you know, and again, we talked about, how do I even ask a person that I wouldn't normally ask him? I was my neighbor, you know, hey, do you know where to get this, by the way, neighbor? Oh yeah, I do. You know, and it's like,
I sell it as a matter of fact.
He doesn't sell it.
No, I don't.
He just knows a guy.
No, you know what I mean?
But
that's how rampant it is, though. Everybody knows a guy that knows a guy. I'll tell you a story about my Hawaii, but go ahead.
Yeah. But right back, and I could say her name, Lisa.
Yeah.
Said it because she's like, your brain was looking for that, and then that's not what you're looking for. That's not what.
Yeah.
And so then I went back to what I was like, it's been a while. Let's give that a shot. I know it'll take me out of reality.
Okay.
And so that's how I ended up back.
See, interesting. There's always little pieces, even though we're all friends. There's still pieces that, you know, where we got to, you know, back to where our end addiction was, you know, and in your case, like I said, you had all that clean time.
Yeah.
One pill.
That's all it was, is clean time though.
Freaking one pill.
No recovery.
Woo.
I had no follow-up, no connections, no to anybody, no meetings, no anything. I just, you know, like I said, I just thought that was just a chapter in my life that I would just as soon forget. But it was very much, you know, it was just kind of laying dormant.
Yeah.
The Hawaii guy. You told me the story about the Hawaii guy.
I don't know if I've heard the Hawaii trip.
Oh no, it's not that. It's just that it's kind of along the same lines. You know, I went to Hawaii and I was looking for weed, and they were like, they told me kind of the area, and I just went up to a stranger and asked him, a big old Samoan guy, about your height. You know, and he comes up and he goes, I look at him, he looks at me, and he knows exactly what I'm looking for. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I see him, and I'm just like, and we exchange right then and there. We walk off, you know, because I couldn't take it on the plane, you know.
No.
So it wasn't legal then. It was back in, well, maybe it was back in 2012. Me and my wife went out there with my sister, and so, but yeah, you know, you found it. I found it over there. It's just crazy how.
Did you do much weed? I mean, was that
back-
part of your drinking?
Not really. I mean,
No,
I
okay.
did it, but it wasn't. It was something that I could always put down. It was like drinking to you, Chris. That's probably what I can liken it to. It
Well,
wasn't-
and I have a good friend that that's his poison, and I could partake on an evening or something, but it's never anything that it wasn't my thing at all.
no.
And I know
Yeah.
people now that are daily smokers
Yeah,
and they can't put it down.
yeah. There's a lot of people that can't. They're actually. I see them in program now
Mhm.
that they're the ones having the hardest time.
Yeah.
But it's much different than what even 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago.
Potent.
Well, we had a friend in our group that he was there for drinking, but I guess he also had a weed problem, and he came, all of a sudden he's back in group, and what it is the weed. He's got a weed
Yeah.
problem now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which is one of our counselors use, or several of the counselors where we went, squeaky clean.
Vince,
Yeah.
yeah, Vince has been on the program. Lisa's
Right,
been
okay.
on the program, so we can talk. We can say their name.
So squeaky clean is a reality, and I was telling him that for I wouldn't even order a steak with the wine reduction sauce, even there's
Yeah.
no alcohol in it, because it's like it said wine, and I'm like,
Burn
I
the
ain't doing it.
alcohol off.
I was telling him I just started about a month or so ago. There's a Bass marinade, because we have the Bass community in our area. They make a Bass marinade.
Yeah.
You get the grocery store. It's great on meat. I wouldn't do it. I mean, set in the damn refrigerator for a year and a half, and then finally I'm like, all right, I missed that. So I put, I'm like, okay, I can do, because you're not getting the alcohol from it.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't let myself even do anything silly like that.
I'm so afraid of it.
Okay, weed's legal. I'm like, yeah, well, if I learned to abuse alcohol in this sense, and even though I say it's not what I like,
Yeah,
but
there's
Right.
that.
but
chance.
I know I can't have the alcohol, but I allow myself to have the marijuana, or maybe and crank's not my thing, or meth's not my thing. So I'll
You just dated yourself.
Maybe I had the crank. Yeah. Maybe I'll maybe I'll get a little bit of that,
Yeah.
and hey, that helped me up. And no, the answer is no, because the track record shows that and if you read literature and stuff, people who quit one but then substitute other, then they start abusing the other thing. So
Right.
it's very clear that that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, you still. I mean, you can do it with sugar. You can do it with a bunch of different things.
With your finances,
with your finances. Yeah,
Yeah.
you shopping.
Yeah. Anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got Amazon. How about Amazon?
Yeah.
I have had to in one of the things that happens when you get past your addiction and move forward is supplementing the time,
Mhm.
obviously. So everybody go, we're working house doing all that, but I don't, the sun goes down, For me, I would definitely say I definitely started to have a shopping problem with
Yeah.
Amazon. I don't know if either one of you guys experienced any
Yeah,
of that.
I did.
Yeah.
No, but I.
I'm
know
like,
someone that has.
those are some really sexy socks.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, and I'm like, and then the poor UPS, the UPS and the
FedEx.
well, FedEx won't deliver for them anymore. The mail guy, like every day coming in with these packages at my office, and I'm like, okay, maybe
Maybe it's a problem.
maybe I need
Yeah.
to
I've
control.
done that with food. Food's been
Well, and
eating is
so
a
when I quit,
pleasure of mine.
because of the sugar. So when you
Sugar.
quit alcohol, you crave sugar and stuff. So the one of the immediate things I substituted was I developed a pint a night problem, and I always joke with my wife. I go, I'll be right back. I'm going to Fast Trip to get a pint. Well,
Yeah.
you think like the pint of vodka? It wasn't that. It was the pint of the
ice cream.
Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah.
And after about 6 months, because I'm fat, and I'm still fat, but I'm not as fat as I got. I mean, I got up to 280 pounds. I'm still a fat ass. And I had to go, no more.
Yeah.
So it's funny because you talk about it, but that shows how freaking addictive we are.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I'm hooked on the goddamn Haagen-Dazs
Yeah.
now. I'm like, you fatty.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, no, so every once in a while I'll get ice cream as a treat, but I mean, I've still been working on my diet. I've lost over 20 pounds, but that's not good enough. I need more. but because of our age group, it's difficult.
Yeah. What is something that and I've asked Chris this, I've asked pretty much all my guests, but I wanted to ask you, what is something that you would tell your younger self before the alcohol was a problem?
That's an interesting question, because I don't know if you could tell yourself anything that you would listen to, honestly.
No. That's why I asked it.
That's the straight answer, is that, it's just like telling your kid that, hey, I learned this and this, don't do what I did. Well, how did you learn?
Yeah.
By what you did. Yeah. And so the answer to the question is, you wouldn't listen to yourself, even if you went back in time and told yourself, hey, you're going to be an addict or an alcoholic, and that it probably wouldn't have changed a damn thing.
So let me rephrase it then. What is something you wish you could have known then at a younger age?
The years of treating people and stuff, and talking to people, my own patients and stuff about their family and history and stuff. Pay a little more attention to your family history, I think, is some of your red flags. Mom was an addict.
Dad.
My one of the interesting part, my dad actually wasn't an alcoholic. My dad actually had a problem with meth. And then alcohol on my mom's side of the family, it was definitely an issue. My mom was an alcoholic, and has had trouble with it on and off over the years, controlling it and stuff. So, looking at your family history is a nice little telltale.
Yeah.
I have to share, it's very interesting because, in the years of treating people, I talk to people about, they're like, I just, it is funny because they'll tell this story, and it's almost the same story for everybody. Yeah, I had, I got together a group, I think when I was 22 or something, and I had like 3 drinks, and man, I got hung over at 3 drinks. Shit, I was just getting warmed up.
Yep.
And I didn't feel good the next day, and I've never drank since. And I went, holy crap, really? I mean, how many of us? I mean, okay, so we all had those bad days.
We all had them.
And was that even a thought in our head?
No, it was get another drink.
Well, no, but even early, like, oh man, you go, oh, that was really dumb. Oh shit, take the Tylenol. And then you go, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do it that much anymore. But never ever in my mind did these words come out of my head going, I shouldn't drink again.
Yeah.
Never once.
Nuh-uh.
What, back then, and I'll hear people who, not only are they not alcoholics, they don't drink at all.
Yeah.
And they all have this experience where they had 3 or 4 drinks and that was it.
Yeah.
Done. And I'm like, oh shit, that would have been nice, right?
Yeah. I mean,
that would have saved a lot of grief.
Yeah. My wife is one of them. She doesn't care to drink. Doesn't drink at all.
Well, and it's funny because my wife would drink when we first started dating and stuff. She would drink and she enjoyed drinking and stuff. But as she got older, because she's a year and a half older than I am, and she's in her mid-50s now, and she got to the point where she's like, man, I really don't like how I feel. So my wife goes, I'm going to have 1 glass of wine tonight. And then on the weekend, she'd maybe have 2, maybe 3 glasses of wine in an entire day. When I was on bottle 3, by 5,
that's what makes you an alcoholic.
That's
right.
That's my wife. My wife
but her ability to go, which it's really crazy. So she's really big. She's on the Al-Anon forums and Reddit forums with all that, and tries to help people on the other side because those people lie to themselves just like we lie to ourselves. So the victims of our problem,
right?
And but to be able to go, I just, my body's just not handling that well. I'm getting older. I need to stop doing it. I'm like, and then for her to go, she doesn't understand us at all.
Right.
She's super intelligent, understands all the biochemical and everything, but physically, as far as understanding, like the hair of the dog.
Yeah.
She goes, how in the fuck did you get up and drink a screwdriver or 2 shots of vodka when you got up? The thought of that would make her throw up.
Yeah.
And of course, we would sometimes throw up when we did it.
Yep.
And then
throw
we
up
would
right before.
do that throw up with
Yeah.
another chaser of
Yeah.
another vodka. And so, but right there lies the chemical dependency problem that we have, that the you know, and we're a huge population, you know, 8 million plus of us just in the United States alone, but we're not the vast majority, you know, thankfully,
Yeah.
but we're a good probably 25% of the population,
Yeah.
you know, that has got a problem with this. And how could you not? You know, you turn the TV on, you know, every commercial's booze or a prescription drug. And, you know, oh, you got to do this, you got to celebrate. And that's what I warn everybody. I'll talk a little bit about that. The 1 year mark, a couple of our people that we're friends with are coming up on it. And they remember me, you know, the 1 year was a struggle, very much a struggle for me, because you wake up on your 1 year day and realize that there's no ticker tape parade. Nobody's going to throw you a damn party because you can't party anyways. So you can't drink. You're not going to go out. What am I celebrating here?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a letdown. It's a little bit of a bummer. And it's where a lot of people lose their sobriety, is at that 1 year mark, because of the fact that, it's a year. What, you know, so the reality of it, once you get past that year, you realize, oh, this is my life. I have a new life. I have to work this with friends, with groups, with your program, with your sponsor, whatever you're doing. What I'm doing is working for me. So as I sit in front of you today, you know, I'm talking about, you know, and I didn't go too much in depth of my what I'm doing, but it's working for me. What Chris is doing is working for him. What Sam's doing is working for him. That's what's key. That's the important part. Don't get wrapped up in the fact, what the hell is that Morgan, you know, this Terry guy doing?
Yeah.
That has, you know, that's working for him. But that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't believe in but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's what you believe in.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying it though, work. You got to put the work in.
You got to put the work in. And your favorite line in NA, and I do like it, that I've never seen, well, you say it because you say it better than I do, that I've never seen a guy that or a person
that's worked. That I've never seen it. Well, it's from the literature.
Yes.
I've never seen a person, a NA member living the NA program relapse.
Right.
Living the program.
So, and the what you take from that is, and you can extrapolate that, put that to any way that you're gaining success, meaning you have to stay working at it.
Living any program.
Yep.
And that's the key to success. I want everybody to succeed. That's great. The NA, the AA program did not fit my ideology, my viewpoint. So what I did is I created one that did work with my ideology and viewpoint. And it worked for me. And that's why I said I'm writing a book about this particular subject. And, you know, hopefully I'll get it one day out and published and stuff. I have the book written in my head. I just got to get it down on all the way down. But the key is, and what I talk to people about and what we're talking about, what people get from this is they don't give a crud what you do.
No.
Do it though.
Yeah, I think.
And own it.
Do whatever it takes.
And own your problem.
Own it. Understand that you did it. And
use your faith for strength,
right?
But you have to own it.
Yeah,
100%.
Actually, my favorite saying is, "You can't save your face and your ass at the same time."
Yeah,
no, absolutely. And
but
Vince, so Vince been on the program, and you know, he was actually my counselor.
Yeah,
and I love that guy. Like, you know, I was really crazy lucky I ended up with Vince, because Vince had the willpower and the strong enough to kick me in the gut and to stand up to me, because I'm a highly educated individual, just like Vince is.
Yeah.
And you are not going to be able to backdoor and smooth talk around me, because I'm going to smooth talk past you.
Yeah.
And Vince did that. And the cool part about Vince, if people go back, his honesty, his truthness, the fact of his ownership.
Yeah.
And he's a very deeply spiritual man, and I totally love and respect.
He wears his heart on his sleeve.
Oh, he does, and I do too.
Yeah.
And the Sam that walked in the door didn't really, because he was pissed off at the world, you know. But Chris kind of does too. Chris kind of wears it out there. It's all out there for everybody to see. If you like it, you don't like it, and I think people need to do that too.
I think that too. I think what we gained ultimately is a understanding and a love for ourselves that we're okay with, you know, that I'm okay with, you know, because when people start to talk about they don't like talk. I don't go out and tell people, oh, I'm in recovery.
Right.
Right. But
Hi, how you doing? I'm Sam.
yeah, I'm in recovery.
Chris had it.
Yeah. I have so many, 400 and something days, whatever it is. But, so I don't do that. But if people ask me about it, I tell them, and it doesn't bother me what people think anymore. And I used to think that was the case too when I was drinking. I don't care what you think. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Oh, but we did.
But we did.
Right.
And now I really have developed a peace with myself.
Yeah.
And that's why that's where the living amends comes in too, because now I got to keep that every day.
Yeah.
So if I mess up, I got to say, you know what, I'm sorry, my bad, and get that off of me so that way I can move forward. I want to be, I want to keep that peace within me. And that's probably the single biggest thing that I have that carries me throughout the day is, and keeps me sober, is because now I don't wake up in an anxious fit. I don't wake up and let alone hungover. I don't have those throw ups of the yellow acid coming up, and it's just I don't have that anymore.
Well,
and I don't want it.
And I had the privilege, because I was in the program before both of you,
Yeah,
to watch both of you mature, learn, and grow, and become the guys that are sitting here next to me. Neither one of you were the guys that walked in the door, and you guys didn't get to see, but I wasn't either.
Yeah, and
it's so refreshing.
Yeah,
it's that's the biggest reward and stuff. Like I said, I when we go to group and you're out there, I'm kind of bummed because I love, I miss you over there chubbing the Victor burrito down though, And I'm like, dude, man, you got to what now? We're gonna send you in freaking burrito rehab now, man.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, food just in
that's
general.
like my Haagen-Dazs problem, same thing, man.
Oh, I know. I got a Mr. Goodbar problem right now. Mr. Good bars. Yeah.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah.
I can understand.
I've been stopping at 7-Eleven getting me a Slurpee and a Slurpee. Yeah.
Slurpee Slim Jim and a Mr. Goodbar.
Yeah, Mr. Goodbar. Yeah. I get a Snickers for my wife so she don't complain that I didn't get her anything. But before we wrap up, one other question I like to ask. And that is, what would you tell somebody who is thinking about quitting, is on the cusp, maybe understands that they might have a problem? What would you tell them?
Well, I think for most people who, let's use alcohol but it works with both, is to go get some connectivity. You can't do it on your own. It's very clear that the just I'm going to quit. The willpower is not going to work. So, go in the easiest way, because there's there's into town. There's probably about 15 meetings.
There's meetings all the time.
All the time.
24/7.
So like I said, AA didn't work. That's cool. But did I go? I've been to about 40 AA meetings. And what the crazy thing is what I say and everything, I still do. I occasionally go to them here and there, because I like the connectivity and the union. The program itself, I don't particularly like, for me, the spirituality side of things, because no matter what they say, it leads to. But so what I would say is get into something, and go. That's a start. Is that going to be good enough? Probably not. A program like, can we say where we went?
You can. I'll beep it out. But
okay, I won't say a program.
Outpatient program.
An outpatient program.
Inpatient program, doesn't matter.
Is really what I would recommend. Because if you listen to a lot of the people that are in our group, almost the majority of them are doing AA, and that's fantastic. So, but the AA does not teach you. There's no anger management classes. Mm-hmm. There's no understanding your root causes. There's no
Right.
counseling. There's no therapy. There's no, even where we went, there's some intervention drugs that can help you,
Yeah.
you know, to get off. So all this stuff is you're not going to get from AA, and I think you need it
Yeah.
to truly get it. Because if it's interfering with work, if it's interfering with your marriage, if it's interfering with your family life, and you're on the cusp of losing your job, losing your wife, losing your family, you need some skills, and you need some tools. And unfortunately, that aspect you're not going to get in AA. You're going to get camaraderie, understanding, and fellowship, but you're not going to get the tools to help master your trade. And that's probably the simplest way I could say that. And so once you get those tools, AA can be a vital part or in it for those people, which, you know, as a supplement to
Right.
continue to manage their tool. You know, I mean, this guy over here, I mean, he was on a dang NA meeting before when I picked him up because he can't drive.
Yeah.
I keep getting him to want to drive because he can't see worth the crud. So, you know, get my little dopamine hit from, you know, sitting in the passenger seat going,
He's always trying to
"Woo!"
give me the keys.
Yeah, I can take the key. But, you know, I mean, so connectivity, I mean, this I don't think anybody does any more meetings than probably you, amigo.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think it's great, man. Absolutely fantastic.
Zoom has been a godsend. So even if you can't get a ride somewhere,
Yeah, no.
Yeah. There's
there
no
are
excuse.
marathon meetings
So no excuses.
24/7.
Well, and that goes back to, you know, I know everybody has a different bottom,
Yeah.
but when you have some clarity and you can see past that alcohol or that drug, do whatever it takes.
Do
Whatever it takes. However you chased your alcohol, however you chased your drugs, whatever you did to get them, whatever you did to partake in it, at least do that much to give yourself a chance at being sober.
Right.
And if my bottom wasn't rock bottom, that's enough to scare me even more, because when I went into rehab, you know, like I said, I was on the verge of not being alive anymore. So there'd be, is that rock bottom? You know, I wasn't lost my, but I was about ready to throw everything away,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and my life. So that there is no, for me in my mind, there is no more deeper rock bottom.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean,
it is. I'm not going to be around.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's.
You guys have to find a new friend.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It was bad. And I can joke and laugh about it now, but I think does that scare you guys too? Because it scares me.
Yeah.
And I'm man enough to admit that's where I don't want to be ever again.
Right. I heard somebody say in a meeting, and it was a profound statement. They said, I respect my disease. And I was like, oh,
very, very much so.
Yeah. Because it'll, you know.
Yeah. Respect the power that it had over you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like one of the biggest things for me is that I allowed something to control me like that.
Yeah.
You know, to you know, just
strong willpower, man. Because you are, I am.
Yeah.
But we were not. We didn't have the reins no more.
No.
Yeah.
That was
not at all. And that's the point I was making. Is I don't care how you do it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
You have to get the reins again.
Yeah. And sometimes that takes, you know, whatever it takes. I went to the behavioral hospital here and did detox there. And then
that place is scary. I heard enough stories about that.
Yeah, I was there for a week. It actually is not that bad. It's not that.
Oh, you're too easy going, man. You're like,
nah.
You know.
You know what it was is because I was tired of hiding, and I had quit a few other times before this, and my wife knowing and all that. And this time, you know, it was kind of the same feeling that I had the other times. It's like, okay, everybody knows I can breathe a little easier. And so then it was like a cakewalk to me. You know, I didn't have the problems that some of these people had. So some of these people did not have control over their minds. So it kind of put me at peace and put things in perspective for me to to say, you know what, dude, you need to get it together. And at least now you're on a path to do that.
So here's would you guys agree that I felt like I had the autopilot on?
Yeah.
And, I wanted myself in that high state, and that was the autopilot objective was to be there. And I had to tolerate hours of sobriety to do my job.
Yeah.
But my autopilot was to get back to that state.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah, makes sense.
Get back to the state of sobriety?
Well, no, to get back to my
drinking.
State of alcoholism. But I had to tolerate hours of sobriety to do my job, right?
Right.
Yeah.
To
because I couldn't walk around the office
Life.
with the tall boy in my hand or anything. So
Well, you could have, you owned it.
But
it would have been a good look, but you could have.
That's what. So my autopilot life was
Right.
I was living for the drink basically, but
right.
it was, I had to tolerate, about 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours of a day out of the 24 sober.
Yeah.
watching the clock. I'm
Yeah.
getting off here in 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. But my first stop on the way home was hitting the fast trip.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the same way for me. Couldn't wait to get to a store.
I was doing shit at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I compromised everything. Doing
And that eats at you because because you ate it, you compromise your integrity.
Yeah. That I think that's the hardest part for people to get past is that to come to the realization, and that's why I say sometimes that it's so shameful that we are powerless over something, but yet once you admit it and you accept it and are at peace with it, it relieves a large boulder on your back. You just kind of, relieves that stress. You go, okay,
Absolutely.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now I can make my way to start moving. Now I can put one foot in front of the other and start going back on the right trail. But it's prior to that, when you're in it, you're just thinking, gosh, man, why can't this just stop?
Right.
But doesn't. So anyways, I want to thank you, Terry, for coming on. Chris, did you have anything else that you want to spout,
Good.
talk about?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Sure. I wanted to hear your voice some more. So
Yeah.
that's why.
Just invite me
Yeah.
back.
I know. I'm gonna have his voice on loop when I go to sleep.
So we should do a show on all the funny places we hid alcohol or hid your dope.
We
Because
can.
that was one of the most entertaining parts of going through the program was we all were hiding it from our significant others, family and stuff.
I think, and I think that
So
the
that
realization-
would be a funny show, actually.
I think the realization that other people did it was like,
Oh my God. Everybody did it.
yeah, everybody did it. You thought you were the only one.
You thought you were the only one. And it's
You
like-
thought you were sneaky too.
And
I
the-
thought I was sneaky.
And the craziness of when you got, I think the last bottle I found was 6 months after I had entered 6 months, and it was a pop-off bottle, and I hid it in my wife's purse.
You did? Hide it in plain sight?
She comes in and goes, what the hell is this? She thought I'd fallen off the wagon. I'm like, oh hell, man! It was blackout because I drank the blackouts, and I'm like, oh yeah. So it would be fun to get a group of us together and do a show on all the places we hid our dope and our.
I just kept my dope in my pocket.
Yeah,
with my hand on it. I had to be touching it, the bag.
Well,
So
that's
you
not
knew it
very
was there?
entertaining.
Huh?
What was that about? Just to
Oh no!
Because I had, I don't know how, as much as focused as I was as having it on me, it somehow, because I was so squirmy, it would fall out of my pocket. And there's been a couple of
Oh,
there were a
man.
couple of close
Losing
calls.
your
I'd get
dope.
up and go to the bathroom and come back. And my wife's taking a nap on the couch, and my
the
bag of
dope's
dope is laying on the carpet.
Oh, no.
And I'm all, ah!
But
it's terrible. I can talk about it now. I can laugh about it, babe. If you see this,
It's really hard for Sam and I to walk around with our, our 750 liter
that's
handle,
that is insane behavior.
the handle in your pocket.
Yeah.
Think about it. All this is crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I think it would be a funny show to get some guys
We
together and talk about it, because it just shows how god dang neurotic we were.
I do have to say this though. I feel like I have more compassion on our community than I've ever had. Of alcoholics and addicts. Just seeing people, I'm like, my wheels start spinning, and I'm like, think about the circumstances, what's going on, and I'm like, I feel helpless sometimes. I'm like, there's if they can't do it.
Well, how many times, even though we drank, how many times you see some guy that was really drunk? Oh, you freaking alcoholic! Look at that alcoholic.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, look in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Just
mean,
because you ain't lit, you're not lit right now. It's like, but how many
you
times
see somebody on the street
judging,
Yeah.
judging,
I'm not judgy.
and it's like, yeah.
Yeah. It's good to have the compassion though.
Thank you for having me on, buddy.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Sam.
I really like having you on. Wanted to tell you too. I always tell my guest what I like about them.
oh no.
So, anyways, I wanted to tell you that I appreciate your input on everything. You kind of like you are the old guy there. I'm not kind of, you're the old guy there at the meeting. So
Right.
with the guy with the most days, now, most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's nice having you there, having your input. I have learned things from you, so I appreciate you being there.
That's always good. I
Yeah.
appreciate you too, buddy.
Yeah. All right, Chris. And I like you too.
I like you too, Sam.
Thank
I
you.
like you too, brother.
We always, anytime you're not there, we're like, what the hell, man?
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam.
All right.